Thanks for joining us. Three people appear in Manitowoc County Court today. Authorities believe they could be part of a larger organized crime ring.
Three was accused of stealing nearly $2,000 worth of items from a Walmart last week. Brandon Riley, Jade Sprang, and Alan Ritchie are also suspected in several other thefts from Walmarts in the area. With U.S. Marshals involved, all three were arrested in Neenah and sent to the Manitowoc County Jail to face charges. Samantha Cavalli has more details from today's court hearing.
A lot of times what we're seeing is that people will travel to other cities in hopes that it would be harder for people to recognize them or for them to be identified.
Which is what Manitowoc Assistant Police Chief Jason Freebooth says these three suspects did. On September 24th, officers investigated a complaint of two male suspects pushing carts of expensive electronics out of a store. Court documents say the female suspect went out a different way and drove up a vehicle. The two male suspects loaded the car and they drove off.
The asset protection team from that retail store were following the people, noticed that they got into a specific vehicle and left in a hurry.
According to authorities, workers were able to get the license plate of the vehicle, but it turns out the plates were stolen. 4 days later, law enforcement arrested Brandon Riley, Jade Sprang, and Alan Ritchie and charged with felony bail jumping and felony retail theft. Assistant Chief Freebooth says the retail store's asset protection team told them the three suspects are involved in similar retail thefts in Sheboygan, Fond du Lac, and Beaver Dam.
Hats off to the asset protection workers because they work together. We're able to determine that this group of three people have traveled throughout northeast Wisconsin committing similar crimes, and that really assisted us in our investigation.
The suspects are believed to have stolen around a total of $6,000 worth of merchandise. More charges are pending in other counties where the thefts took place. Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News, Manitowoc.